Hello and welcome to this week's track guide for the Dallara IR-18, the Open Series. This week we'll be racing in Interlagos, which is, well, in a sense my home track, not in the city I live per se, but as I'm from Brazil, it's my local track and so have a soft spot for it, very much so. It's a great track to produce actual close racing. Very hard on the tires, especially the rears. And yeah, I think it will be a very fun week. So as per usual, we will go first over the uncommented lap and I'll just let you guys see it. Then we'll discuss the setup. Then we'll go over the track guide and finally some strategy options for this week. All right, so let's begin. Alright, so that was the lap. Now let's talk about the setup. So on the left here we have the iRacing setup, and on the right here the setup I'm sharing with you guys in Google Drive. As per usual, this is the qualifying set, and if you want you can simply up the fuel to 70 liters and also make a small change in the radiator that I'll mention in a bit, and you'll be just ready for race. So let's see. Starting from the beginning here, about the tires, obviously I changed from primary to alternate because this is a poly run. In race you have to use both. I would wager that you can use the alternates for 10 laps or so, and then the primaries as it's a 30 lap race. I did up the front downforce quite a bit, so I added this wing wicker here. And also I reduced the front ride height, basically adding rake to the car. So we have more percentage of front downforce. As you can see, it's up from 42% to about 45%, which helps the car in the faster corners. And also I closed the radiator from 70% to 77%. You cannot run a race set with this, and obviously it would overheat the car, but it's really good for qualifying, so it's kind of a free time save there. Let's see what else. Brake pressure bias, I downed it a little bit. I think that the default is like way too safe. You can get this down to 52%, 53% if you're not comfortable with that. Maybe even lower if you have like good pedals and good control. But yeah, you can really gain some, well, shorten the braking distance if you do this. There's a couple changes here that are on the corner weights, ride heights, which I myself didn't change. This is mostly due to the fact that I removed fuel and then the car rose a little bit. But I didn't like adjust this for the quality set because otherwise you'd need to choose sets, and gets kind of messy. Let's see what else. I reduced the fuel level from 70 liters to 7.7 liters. This is good for a single lap. As per usual in the IR-18, it's kind of hard to make the second lap better than the first lap because the tires degrade very fast, and so I have a tendency to just, I'll just do a single lap, and if I don't get the lap right, perhaps I get an off track or I make a mistake, I just reset the car and try again. Not viable in like really long circuits that you have like a bigger longer outlap, and then you wouldn't be able to do like 2 outlaps and 2 tries, but in Interlagos very much possible. Let's see what else. I changed the bar diameter on the front from small to large and the blade position from 4 to 6. This is basically to give more grip to the front of the car and make it like more compliant on those lower corners in sector 2. Gained quite a bit of time by doing those changes. And finally, let's see, same thing, same logic here on the rear ARB blades, changing them from 2 to 1, basically making the rear harder, so relatively the front has more grip than the rear, and thus you can turn in easier. No changes on differential, that kind of stuff. I felt it was pretty good. The quality lap time, I feel it's okay. I wouldn't say it's the best or anything, but certainly competitive. And I would expect that shifting this to race conditions, you'd get like high 19s, low 20s, depending on how old the tires are as you progress during the stint. Alright, so moving on to the track guide. We start here on the main straight. Top of 6th gear, you're looking for the 50 board here for your brake marker for turn 1, the Senna S. With new tires, you can actually brake on the 50 board itself. If you have, like, if you are on the 4th, I'd say 3rd or 4th lap of the soft tire and onwards, or the hard tire, a full tank also, then you want to back that up, like by 1 or 2 car lengths. So really, yeah, about here, right? So instead of braking on the 50 itself, you would brake like 1 or 2 cars behind to compensate for the lack of grip that you get from the tires. Coming up to the corner itself, turning point is kind of iffy, to be honest. Maybe you can use the, yeah, not really, it's later than that. I guess what I would say, maybe under the bridge. Let's see. Yeah, under the bridge seems like a good one. I say this because I go by feel. That's why I don't actually have a brake marker. I kind of go off of these rubber markings on the floor. But I guess the bridge, if you correlate the bridge with my wheel movement here, it is pretty similar. All right. So as for the first leg of the Senna S here, you want your left side tire should be on the curb, but not on the top of the curb. So if we just look at the curb here, you see that there's this higher part here. This makes the car a bit unstable, so I wouldn't go over this. But if you go up until this point here that I'm showing with my mouse, that is fine. In this particular lap, let's see. Yeah, it was I maybe overdid it a little bit, but not too bad. I guess I would back it up just a little bit. But really what you are looking for is to set up the next right-hander, which will feed you to the back straight. So it's really critical you get this corner in particular right. And you don't want to be all the way to the right here on the track, because you have a very shallow entry and that will compromise your exit speed greatly. In fact, this is one of the better passing spots in the track, I'd say. You can really set up a pass, maybe open up this corner a little bit and then get around the guy with push a pass and make the pass on the back straight. So as you see that the car is settled, then you can start flicking the wheel. Now this is very critical. You want your right side tire to be on top of the curb, but you don't want to touch the grass at all. Touching the grass is pretty much a death sentence. You're most likely going to spin out. So very, very careful with this grass here. I have a trick, which is like to gain extra rotation. I upshift the car as I make the corner. So if you listen, so check it out. I'm in first gear now, and I'm gonna upshift as I make the corner. This is gonna give the car like a little jank, a little extra rotation, which certainly helps. Yeah. And well, the exit's pretty easy. You just, well, don't overdo it on the curb. You can go on top of the curb a little bit, but then I would just use the outside part here. If you stay all the way to the inside here with your left tires, you can spin out, so don't overdo it, as I said. And another thing to be wary of, this is better without the interface here. As you can see, there was a flick of the steering wheel there. Depending on the age of your tires, as the stint progresses, you might have some oversteer here. The back of the car may get a little bit loose, so you want to throttle control a little bit, right? So I'm at 100% here because obviously this is effectively the first lap of the soft tires, and so they have great grip right now. But starting from, I'd say, lap 3 or 4, I would do some throttle control here, just about 80-90%, and really feel the wheel. If you have direct ride, this is easy to do, but if you don't, if you are rocking a G29 or something, then you don't have that much feedback, so I would perhaps underdrive the corner a little bit, just to make sure that the car doesn't get out unexpectedly from under me. All right, let's see the section in chase cam now. Do try and avoid getting on top of this curb here. The car will bottom out a little bit and you lose some speed on straight. Getting up to the white line or maybe the edge of the curb is fine, but not much more than that. Right, going up to the next corner, obviously this one's flat out. Brake point is this one is really easy. It's this access road here, this cement thingy here. Once again, new tires, it's the beginning of the access road, so right here. If you have worn tires, then I would back it up to the 100 board here, so that's about the car length or two, right? I'll back it up to about here. Start braking. You're gonna downshift from 6th all the way to 2nd. In terms of rhythm of downshifting, check this out. So you see, it's 1, 2, 3, 1. So the final downshift to 2nd gear, you want to wait a little bit, right? Don't do all 4 at the same time at once because this can upset the car a little bit. So downshift from 6th to 3rd, and as you turn in, you downshift you do the final downshift to 2nd. You want to brake in the straight line. Be very careful to not have your right side tire go up on the grass here. This will maybe spin you out or very likely make you like overshoot the corner. And it's pretty easy to do. It's not a very stable surface in here. There's kind of a bump here. As you see, the car is gonna vibrate right here, right? And so don't get caught out by that. This corner here, in terms of turn in, as you can see, not many references, to be honest. I'll try to turn in sooner rather than later, to be honest. So this would be about right. Yeah. This curve, the same thing applies, as I said, for the first leg of the Senna S. The Sparta is really high, can upset the car. If you go all the way up on the curb, pretty easy to spin out. I would try and get the car like up until this gray part here, right? Maybe a bit of the curb, but not much. So I'd like the left side tire should be on top of this gray part here. In this particular lap, as you can see, I didn't fully utilize this as I could. But yeah, this is good. Now this corner is infamous for being a very easy corner to get off tracks, and it's not without reason. Because the track is gonna have a downhill section here. It's gonna make you lose pressure on the back end, and the car will want to understeer towards the outside. If for some reason your car like dips below the curb here, then it's over. First of all, you get a 1x for sure. The 1x limit here is the white line, and so if your left side tires go outside the white line, not the curb, all right? So if your left side tires are beyond this point here, then that's a 1x. Also, the car can be upset a little bit if you go all the way there, so you have to be fast and straighten out the wheel so you don't get caught out. In this particular lap, as you see right here, I kind of, this is about the absolute limit you can go without getting a 1x. This was really, really, really close to invalidating the lap, and especially in qualifying, as usual, the qualifying set is only good for a single lap. So if you do this section here, get an off track, just instantly reset the car and try again. On the second attempt, obviously be more careful because you want to have a valid time for the race. And the second part here is really easy. This one, you can flat out pretty much go on top of the curb if you want. Don't, doesn't really matter. And so yeah, let's see this part in chase cam now. All right. So next up, not many references here in Interlagos, as you can see. So here, pretty barren. What I use is the Marshall post here, the 10 one. So as I get to it, this is my turning point. We are on top of 5th gear here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, let me see. Well, let me bring the FOV a little bit back. Yeah, 5th gear. Do and try and like avoid upshifting here. No, yeah, you're not even close to upshifting here. But yeah, keep it in 5th gear. And then as the Marshall post comes up, what you want to do is, let's bring this back out to 65 or so. It's a bit better for the sense of speed. So you want to turn in. Let me get this out of here. And then you're going to downshift from 4th and in the middle of the corner to 3rd. Let's see this in motion. And now here you have to be very patient, all right? The acceleration point. This green patch here is a good reference for you. So this kind of depends on how much you decelerate the car. In this particular lap, I decelerated, I guess, a bit too much. You really want to trail the brakes right about 10%, 5% or so. In the initial phase of the braking here, I applied too much brakes, as you can see here, right about 30, and then I kind of realized that and brought it back to what I wanted. What happened is that I kind of overslowed the car, which allowed me to get on throttle a bit earlier, but I lost a little bit here, like a 10th or so. So ideally, I would trail max 5-10%, and so I would start accelerating here at the end of the green patch. We're in 3rd gear now, so you're gonna accelerate in 3rd all the way to here. All right, so this corner is interesting. Once again, no reference at all, as you can see, not even something on the left here that we can kind of use as something. So here I use an audio cue. So you'll see I'm in 3rd gear, and as I get on the top of the limiter, this would be the moment that you obviously would upshift to 4th. So I keep it there, and as I hear that, I downshift all the way to 1st to prepare to the next corner, right? So this is kind of iffy because obviously you can get here like faster and then you would hit the limiter earlier, or you can like get here slower and then something else would happen. But I guess the best I can do is an audio cue for you, so let's listen. Let's listen to the full section. 4th, 3rd. So this is the moment that I would upshift. And then 1st, all right? So yeah, let's see the section in chase now. In terms of track usage here, pretty lenient, right? You can get your right side tires up until the end of the curb here. Not that you should do that, but you can for sure. I wouldn't get the left tires on the green part here. Kind of slippery. Wouldn't recommend. So this is okay. Maybe a little bit to the left up into the drainage here, but no more than that. Obviously, you can not do that as well and just keep the car. The left side tires on top of the curb. This will make your entry more shallow, but really doesn't make too much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. All right, coming up to this next corner. Well, this once again, like no real reference, as you can see. So once again, I'm going by feel here. I'm going from 3rd, then I hit the top of the limiter, downshift to 1st. As I downshift to 1st, this is going to be like a swift motion to turn in the wheel. And now the reference here is kind of the middle of the car. I want the middle of the car to be on the point that the curb meets the astro here. There's 2 ways you can do this. There's this point, and there's also like getting the right side tires on the gray part here of the curb. Let me get closer so you can see. So you could maybe get the right side tires up until the limit of the AstroTurf here. It's not really an AstroTurf, it's like a cement thing or whatever. Or alternatively, you could get the right side tires on the gray part here, the bottom of the curb. I tested with both. To be honest, I don't see much difference. And in fact, I have a lot of variance. Some laps I do the one thing, other laps I do another thing. And yeah, this middle section here, you just have to do it a lot of times to get used to the various possibilities of what could happen and just not get caught out by by the thing that happens. So in this particular lap, as you can see, I'm doing the strat of having the right side tires in the middle of, at the end of this, guess it's like a checkered pattern here with the cement or something. So yeah, and now you don't want to get on throttle like too eagerly. As you can see, I'm right about at 50% here, not more, because I don't want to overshoot. If you are on the left part of the track here, this is not really good, because the next corner is a left-hander and you have a very shallow entry, so you want to be at the middle of the track here. And then coming up to this corner, very patient, just check out this pedal input here. I'm just gonna brake a little bit just to slow the car, and then I'm gonna keep it in second, not first. So the previous corner was in first. This one I'm upshifting to second, just waiting, really patient. And once I see that I can go for it, then I start accelerating. The reason to use second is because I want less torque. And so realistically, you could just as well use first gear and do throttle control, but I think in my scenario, it's a bit safer to use second gear, especially as the tires get worn out. So in terms of when to start accelerating, I suppose that the tree here is a good reference. So as the middle of the car passes the tree, like so, then you can start accelerating. Obviously, this can vary a bit of your FOV or maybe the angle of entry. So don't take this as like gospel or anything. Like this can change for you. But yeah, the tree is like an okay-ish reference. So very patient on throttle, right? You just want to keep the car hugging the inside of the corner, and then you can use this outside curb very freely, all right? Don't fear this one. This is very flat. And now we are in, I think, second gear, if I'm not mistaken. Well, obviously, as per usual, I can't see. Oh, third gear, right? So we did the previous corner in second gear. Now we are up to third. I'm gonna downshift from third to first on this final section here. In terms of like brake reference, I use the middle of the two curbs here as my reference. Please get out. Right, so this is the first curb that it ends, and then there's the other one. It starts here, and so if you imagine a line here in the middle of both, this would be my braking point, as you can see, right? Now I want to bring the car all the way to the left of the track here, as close as I can. Very careful to not let your left tire touch the grass here. There's going to be a huge problem, as you can imagine. And now as a downshift to first, this is kind of similar to the first corner we discussed in this section. You want to get your car all the way here. However, we don't have that cement thingy here, so really in this part I would recommend the right side tire view on the gray patch here. In fact, the camber on this corner seems a bit more pronounced, and so it really helps you make the corner. So this is like really good, I suppose. Yeah, this is perfect. So this positioning is the one you definitely want to go for. And once again, this is another section that requires great patience, because generally you just hit the apex and you're like, all right, I'm going to start accelerating. Well, if you do that, what's going to happen is that you're going to overshoot the corner, and there's kind of a crest here. As you can see, this is the highest part. So if you just go outside the track here, you're kind of screwed. It's really hard to come back. So patience on throttle here. And also because the next corner coming up is a left-hander, so you don't really want to be on the left part of the track here all the way, because you have to like unwind a little bit to prepare for the left-hander coming up, which is called mergulho, if I believe so. And careful with oversteer as well. So if you check out my wheel here, there was a little bit of a correction there. So throttle control, really important, and be ready to catch the car if something happens. Right, let's see the section in chase cam now. Really patient. Throttle control, use all the way, move outside, gray parts, patience once again, and then just be prepared if the car just loses the back end there to catch a little bit. Alright, so the final two corners of the track, mergulho and junção. Junção, a very important corner, because evidently it leads to the main straight, which is the big straight in the circuit. So another good place for you to set up a pass, perhaps. I would wager it's a bit worse than Senna S, to be honest with you, because it's kind of single file, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Alright, so this mergulho is really easy. You just want to open up a little bit and then just hug the curb. Don't actually go on top of the curb, alright? Well, at least try not to. As you can see, I'm actively avoiding the curb, especially this part, the upper part here. It kind of, there's this crest and then it like falls, as you can see. And that can sucker the car in and then you're just in a world of pain. So, and really there's no reason to. It's not like you're gaining a lot of time getting on top of the curb here. As you can see from my throttle here, I'm not actually using 100% throttle. And as the stint progresses and the tires get older, this is going to be even more important. And so theoretically, you could up the downforce so you could do the section flat. However, this would have implications on other parts of the track. And so I tested out bigger downforce, well, front downforce biases, but I didn't really like the result. And so I settled for this. And really, it's not too much of a problem. Just do some throttle control here, about 80-90%. Just really, if you have direct drive, obviously very easy to feel the tires then. And then coming up to Junção, this is a tricky corner. However, there's an interesting property here in that the off-track is not obvious at all. The off-track is actually if the middle of the car goes past the drainage here. And so really you can like go up until the drainage if you'd like. I usually don't, but as you can see here, I get pretty close. Yeah, pretty close. And so this is very useful because you can open up the corner a lot more and that can help you carry more speed. In terms of braking point, I would say that the transition between the curb and the AstroTurf here, or even if you're feeling brave, this first patch here, this first horizontal dirt patch or whatever on the AstroTurf is a viable braking point. And if you're running quali fuel, which is my case here, then you can like go really crazy and maybe bring it up here. I don't really like doing late braking, not my style, but you can experiment with it. Yeah, so you brake, you're coming up to 5th gear if I'm not mistaken, let's see. Actually 4th gear, right? Yeah, 4th gear, okay. So 4th gear, you're gonna downshift up to 2nd. Yeah, 2nd. You could go down to 1st, but I kind of prefer not overslowing the car and coasting rather than like overslowing and then accelerating earlier. I guess it's personal preference. And so yeah, you're gonna brake. In my case here, I'm braking in the first patch, as you can see here. Let's see, some past, yeah, the first patch. So you want to bring the car all the way up to the drainage or close to it. In terms of turn in, a very nice reference is the end of the AstroTurf here. So as the AstroTurf meets the asphalt here, this is your turning point. Pretty easy. And this is the most critical part of the corner where you need car placement to work out in your favor. So you don't want to climb on top of the curb because it's going to make the car bounce. It's not going to make you spin out or anything unless you're like really go crazy on throttle. But you're going to have to wait to accelerate, which is obviously not good with the straight coming up. And if you undershoot the apex, like if you stay right here, for example, it's going to be a problem because you don't have that much space on exit here, as you can see. And so you're going to have to overslow the car so you can make the corner. So really, you want the left side tire to be on this once again. The line and this gray patch here, this is the ideal position. And as you can see, I pretty much nailed it, this corner. Really nice, actually. Let's see. Yeah, this is right about where you want the car to be. And if so, then kind of a corner that you have to experiment with a little bit in terms of like acceleration. You can accelerate earlier than the apex. As you can see, I'm already picking up the throttle here. You just have to do this corner a lot of times until you are familiar with the exit here and when you can start accelerating. Also, do avoid, like you could theoretically bring the right side tires all the way up to the cement checkerboard thingy here. That would not actually be an off track, that would be fine. However, the car is going to bottom out on the curb here and you're going to lose a lot of speed on the upcoming straight. So really, I would recommend you just keep to the white line, right side tires on the white line, and that's that. That would be beneficial for sure. And yeah, let's see. Not much to comment here. Yeah, just flat out. I experimented getting on top of the curb, not getting on top of the curb. I would recommend not getting on top of the curb, to be honest. You don't, maybe you gain like a tenth, if that. Like, it's not worth it. And here, you can cut it really close to the tires if you need to, especially in qualifying, but like don't overdo it because, you know, accidents have happened. Let's see the section in chase cam now. All right, and that is a lap around Interlagos. So we are doing a 30 lap race, as you see on your iRacing UI. The 70 liters in the tank is good for 20 laps, thereabouts, using fuel map 1 or 6. Really, there's no need for you to fuel save here. There's nothing to gain, and so it's going to be a single stop. There's nothing much to invent in terms of strategy. The softs, they drop off quite fast. I would say that right about third lap, fourth lap, they're already gone and you're losing lap time. And so I would avoid doing long stints with the soft. Personally, I think I would do like a 20 lap stint with the hards and then a 10 lap stint with the softs, or the other way around. If you prefer starting with the softs, that's fine as well. Then you do 10 and 20 on the hards as you approach the end of the race. And yeah, I guess that's it. Be careful with the softs on the final laps of the stint, right about 7th, 8th, and 9th, 10th lap, because the rears really start going off, and then the second sector is gonna be a bit iffy. You're gonna have to have some good throttle control there to avoid accidents and spinning around. And yeah, well, as usual, thank you very much for watching this video. Hope it was fun and useful for you. And I'll see you next week, where we'll be racing in Spa-Francorchamps. See you then. Bye-bye.